The last passenger? It happened about 3 years ago. At that time, I was working the night shift as a taxi driver. Most of my rides were normal, people coming from work, parties, or late-night flights. But one night, something happened that I still cannot explain. It was around 1:40 a.m. The streets were almost empty, and the city felt unusually quiet. I was driving through a lonely road near the outskirts of town when my taxi app suddenly notified me about a new ride request. The pickup location was strange. It was an old road near a closed cemetery. At first, I thought it was probably someone who got lost or someone coming back from a late gathering. I accepted the ride and drove there. The closer I got, the darker the road became. There were almost no streetlights, just trees and silence. When I reached the pickup location, I didn't see anyone. I checked the app again. The ride was still active. Then suddenly, I noticed someone standing near the side of the road. It was a woman dressed completely in white. She was standing very still. I rolled down the window slightly and asked, "Did you book the taxi?" She didn't answer. She just slowly opened the back door and sat inside. Something about her felt strange. Her clothes looked old and her face was extremely pale. In the rearview mirror, I noticed she was staring directly at me, not blinking, just staring. I asked politely, "Where do you want to go?" After a few seconds, she quietly said an address. It was about 25 minutes away. The ride started normally. For the first few minutes, everything was silent, too silent. Usually passengers check their phones or talk, but she just sat there, completely still. Then suddenly she asked, "Do you drive here often at night?" I said yes, because night shifts pay more. Then she said something that made me uncomfortable. She said, "Many people have accidents on this road." I nervously laughed and said, "Yeah, maybe because it's so dark." She didn't respond. A few minutes later, I looked in the mirror again. She was still staring at me, but this time, her expression looked sad. Then she suddenly asked, "Do you believe in ghosts?" That question immediately made the atmosphere feel colder. I tried to joke and said, "Not really." She slowly replied, "You should," right after she said that. My car radio suddenly turned on by itself. Static noise filled the car. I quickly turned it off, but when I looked in the mirror again, the back seat was empty. My heart started pounding. I immediately stopped the car and looked back. No one was there. The door had not opened. The car had not stopped. She had just disappeared. I checked my taxi app. The ride was still active, but something was very strange. The destination address was now the same cemetery where I picked her up. I felt chills running down my spine. Then suddenly my phone rang. It was another taxi driver who I knew. He asked me where I was. When I told him the road name, he became quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Did you pick up a woman in white?" My hands started shaking. I asked him how he knew. He said that many drivers in the area had reported the same passenger, a woman dressed in white who disappears during the ride, according to local stories. She had died in a car accident on that road many years ago. Ever since then, drivers sometimes pick up a mysterious passenger near the cemetery, but the ride never finishes, because she always disappears before reaching the destination. After hearing that, I immediately ended my shift and drove home. But the scariest part happened the next morning. When I checked my taxi app history, the ride from that night was still there, but instead of a passenger name, it just said, "Last passenger." Ending line for your video. Some drivers say the road is still haunted. And sometimes late at night, a taxi stops for a passenger that isn't really there.